Hey everyone, it's your boy Free Space, and if you've seen the title of this video, then I'm going to be talking about why I think Generation 5 failed and why people didn't like it very much. But before I get into that, I want to say I do not hate Generation 5. Honestly, when I did originally didn't disliked it when I first saw it, but when I rewatched it again last year, I kind of realized I might have been too harsh on it, very harsh. And so were many other YouTubers who are now looking at it through a new lens. So now being said that, let's start with the movie, A New Generation. First of all, visually, it was beautiful. They had an amazing cast. They explored 3 different places: Maritime Bay, what was the other one? Zephyr Heights, and Bridlewood. Now, it was good. The concept was great. The characters were nice. Sunny was fun. Izzy was, well, basically Pinkie Pie, but as a unicorn. But there was enough difference between her, like she liked arts and crafts, to separate her. Then there was Hitch. He was like he's the sheriff, but he also like the big brother of the group, if that makes sense. Then we had Pip and Zip in that movie. Zip was many people's favorite, mine included, because Pip and Zip are royalty in Zephyr Heights. They're princesses, which is the first we've seen that is not an alicorn. Now, being said that, let's go with the positives. Like, again, the voice acting was beautiful. The songs were not the best, but they're passable. The world building was nice. The animation was beautiful, but one of the main problems of it that people hated, even me back then, it was connected to a G4. So this is why it's the problem. G4 had a beautiful, beautiful ending it off. But then next New Generation comes out, we go back to a quest ship. But this time, magic's gone, the tribes are separated, and we have no idea what happened to the other tribes, so yeah, so everything that Twilight and her friends did was just, yeah, that's not exactly how you want to start your new generation, by squandering the last one. Not only that, it doesn't give us much explanation why it happened. But again, plus it was a movie, which it wasn't going to answer too many questions. And one of the main problems, second to connecting to G4, it was predictable. We knew by the end of it magic was going to return, so it wasn't surprised, but it just didn't feel built up to it. Yet again, there's a lot of great movies with basic plot. One example, John Wick, just a guy out for revenge for the guy who killed his dog. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it doesn't matter if the plot, you can have the basic plot or an amazing plot, but if the execution isn't good, it's not gonna matter. Did I think the movie executed it well? I think it did a decent job. Not the best, but a good one. Now, another thing the movie is, the budget was 20 million compared to the GFIM movie, which is 6.5 million, but that was a theatrical release. This one was straight to streaming, but it was back in 2021, so COVID was still a thing, so it could be forgiven. The 20 million is a lot, but when you look at how much the difference between 2D and 3D goes, it's 1.5 to 3 times. So yeah, it makes sense that if they had to make, so yeah, it makes sense that 20 million makes more sense when you triple the budget for the movie for FIM, which would have been around 19.5 million, which is about an estimate. So yeah, the movie also had another problem. It was the fandom, not in the bad way, it's just the fandom wanted to go back to G4, wanted more G4 stuff, and the others wanted a new generation, something new, me included. So, but connecting it back to G4, and also squandering the ending did not exactly goodwill with the fandom, me included. How would I fix it? Actually, there's really not much to, it was good. Most of it was great. The concept was great. I would just not connect to the G4. Keep it separate. That's simple. Songs, passable. Characters and voice acting, beautiful. Didn't need to change. But also, oh, I think I forgot. The villain, Sprout. Yeah, he was not a villain. He was an antagonist, but not a villain. Just felt he was a bit of a mama's boy, and he manipulated with fear, which not a bad villain as a villain goes, but he wasn't exactly a sympathetic or an actual evil villain. He was just not good. Do I hate? Did he have potential? Yes. Did he reach it? No. And also there's also when magic came back. We know what's gonna happen. Sunny became an alicorn or can transform into one, and our magic just came back. Honestly, they could have add more to it, to the journey and with the characters. Sure, if My Little Friendship is Magic didn't have the, had a 2 episode premiere, but it was part of the series, so we were gonna see more. We didn't have to wait like until 2022 when we actually got more to work with to connect to the characters. So yeah, that's what I would change. That's why the movie didn't get to the fandom as good as it should. Okay, now let's just go to the shows. Oh yeah. Tell Your Tale came out in April of 2022, and Make Your Mark came in May of 2022. So yeah, basically about a year since the movie, but a month apart. Now, the main thing why the shows didn't work, or didn't work as it should be, one of the main thing they divided the resources. Like I said, 2D and 3D, two different ball games when you're animating and doing anything with them. 3D costs a lot more and takes a lot more because it's more complex with the systems. I actually have a couple friends who know a little bit more, and they told me it's more complicated to 3D than 2D. But yeah, that's one of the main things. They divided the resource between 2 different shows, which if they would have focused on one, better. It would have been more, plus since I'm going to talk about Make Your Mark first. The 3D one, animation, ooh boy, it was spotty. Some scenes I watched look beautiful, others look kind of stiff, others look it needed more room to cook in the animation. But when you really look at it, it lasted from 2022 to 2023 and it had like 6 chapters, which is a lot. So basically they were pumping the episodes as they came out, which isn't always the best thing, because you need to go back to make sure it flows better, or if you want to add or cut anything out. Yeah, so that's one of the main things why and Make Your Mark didn't work. It was rushed animation. Was it bad? No. Did it just need a little bit more to cook? Yes. Next, I want to talk about the voice actors now. The ones from the New Generation movie did not come back to reprise their roles. For example, Vanessa Hudgens, hopefully I said that right, voice Sunny, did not come back. She was changed to Gina Warren. Hopefully I'm really saying that because I'm terrible with names. But yeah, so did the rest of the cast. Now, if you're changing the voice cast, you can have a little bit inconsistency of the characters because they didn't play the characters before. All right? But did they do a bad job? No, it was actually good. The characters did sound like themselves. They did a great job. Though sometimes Izzy sounded like Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph, which I don't think is a bad thing, but it was a noticeable one. But honestly, I kind of enjoyed it. Now, one of the things people hated still was the magic system. Unicorns got their magic, Megas had their ability to fly, but Earth ponies were given Earth pony magic, which is meant controlling planets and talking to animals. If it's the same world as FIM, shouldn't there already be those who can talk to animals like Fluttershy? Because, sorry, I gotta adjust just a little. Fluttershy was able to talk because that was her talent. So now can only Earth ponies talk to animals? Or if it's your talent, can you do it? It never explains. Plus the cutie mark on them are only on one side, which doesn't make sense when it was on both sides. Honestly, they could have done something interesting with that, showing that magic didn't fully return. It was back, but not fully back. Would explain why Sunny can only transform to an alicorn, not be an alicorn fully. Now, a lot of things in the Make Your Mark plot just did not work. Like, first one of them, so many episodes just I didn't like. One of them being where Sunny wanted to get everyone to eat healthier, and she was manipulated by Opaline and a couple of others to become an alicorn to get influence. That could have worked in a different way. It could have shown that she has authority as an alicorn when she becomes one, but only realized that people listen and respect her when she was an alicorn, not as Sunny, the Earth Pony, who somehow still worked at this food smoothie stand, which I don't hate, but if she's gonna be like the main alicorn, work with that. Now, Izzy was just still Izzy. I loved Izzy. Zip. She was cool. She was the one, actually the driving force of most of it, because she was doing the research on what the crystals were. When Twilight came back for that message, which people still hate, about Opaline, she was the driving force. Pip, she had her own beauty salon, main Melody, which was fine. It was fun, but I I just didn't. It felt more like a toy thing to sell toys, which I get. You're Hasbro, you're gonna make money making toys. Hitch, he was still the sheriff. He was like the big brother of the group. I said again before. Then there is well, yeah. Then there was Misty, who came later. I actually loved Misty. Many people do. The two ponies people loved in Generation 5 was Zip and Misty, which I do like them too. But the thing with Sunny is if you're gonna have her as the main driving alicorn of Unity or whatever they named her as, she needs to represent that. How could they have done that? Simple. Since the tribes were together again, but not fully together, you're gonna have some friction after generations of not liking each other, which they never really explained. They just said there was like some conflict generations ago, which, okay, then why was that really enough to separate the tribes? But back again, I think they could have had a lot of good fun stories where the ponies from each tribe was just not working with each other very well, and they would have to help fix that friction. That would have been interesting storylines where they would have, because since they've been separating for generations, you would have had different cultures, musics, games, other fun stuff they could have, had. They could have had good friendship frictions with that. Them not understanding each other, but Sunny and others would explain, just because you're different doesn't mean you can't be friends, which would have been more attuned to real life and would have hit better messages, which I think was a massive waste they didn't use. Tribes were separated for generations, they come back together, but they didn't do anything with that. Somehow they're all good friends. It doesn't work in real life, it doesn't, and I know it's just a cartoon, but they could have done some of those messages in the show, which would have really driven it better. That's also what I would fix. Let me look at else. Like, I have a whole notes here. Oh, Opaline, yeah. She was not a good villain. Now, I did not hate the voice actress. She did a great job with the character. The concept was great. Evil Alicorn. Only time we've seen that was Nightmare Moon, but she only was on like the first 2 episodes of the FIM, which she still had presence. And she was a fire alicorn. And she manipulated Misty. But she wasn't anything of a villain. If you're gonna build her up, have her something like, if she was manipulative, make her manipulative. If she actually planned, she's been around for a long time, she's immortal, but they didn't do anything with her. Doesn't mean she was just incompetent. She felt more like an evil stepmother to Misty than anything else. That's it. Sure, she was evil when she had Sparky hanging on out of her castle and just draining his dragon fire. But that's it. It just doesn't work enough. You needed more build-up. How would I fix that? Have Opaline be a friendly alicorn to Sunny and her friends at the Bright House and tell her that she was asleep when magic was gone and she woke up and wants to help, so-called help, but she really just wants to get the magic of Equestria from the Unity crystals, which, yeah, it would show that she's manipulative and she wants to take the magic, but she can't because Twilight put the failsafe on it. In case she tries to get it, it'll destroy it, all magic will be gone. To fix that, I think she could have, magic wouldn't fully be back, like I said before, like it would slowly be coming back, but not completely yet, because there's not enough unity or friendship to work, because that's how the crystals work. And if it fully came back, then Opaline would be able to use some spell to separate the magic from the crystals of Equestria. I mean the magic of Equestria from the crystals, which would have made the crystals useless, but she could repurpose them to take the magic back for herself without any failsafe. That would have been a much better way to use her. She would have been a smart villain, manipulative, and would push the story for those friendship episodes and stuff, just to fill her own goal. We would still have Misty, of course. She would be like still being manipulated by Opaline. This would be a much better use of her character. Also, I think they needed more time in animation. I said before, it was rushed. Many people saw it. I saw it. Fans saw it. It just rushed. Now, do I blame them going for the 3D animation route? No, actually. Back in the early 2000s and late 2010s, a lot of shows were going to the 3D animation, like Rugrats when it, remastered. There was also, what was the other one? There was Kung Fu Panda: Legend of Awesomeness and Monster High. So yeah, it was one of those. It was things that were just coming up more and more. Oh, also Fairy Odd Parents: A New Wish. Yeah, 3D animation was going higher in the early 2000s and late 2010s, so I don't blame them for going that route. But it was more costly and took a lot more time. All right, so what else? Yeah, I think that's main reason. I think that's all the stuff from the show. It was, and also there's also stuff from, from Tell Your Tale. Like, I get it. It's you're gonna use 2D and 3D. You can, but was Tell Your Tale supposed to be the filler, and Make Your Mark meant to be the base story? But also there's inconsistencies. Like in Tell Your Tale, Missy has like an amulet to talk to Opaline, but in Make Your Mark, it's nowhere to be found. And in Make Your Mark, the Christmas special, I can't remember what it's called. They create the mainstream is introduced, but in Tell Your Tale, Izzy and Zip make the mainstream with the lantern. So what's with the inconsistency? Was that there's a miscommunication in the animation department, the script room? I don't know. It was just those small things that piled up, and also with the animation of Tell Your Tale, it had the bean mouth thing, which you've seen many times in Steven Universe, Star vs. the Force of Evil, Maze War the Gumball. Okay, I get it's a much easier way to animate, but it's also a little bit not bad, but it's just we've seen it already. It would have been more acceptable in the early 2010s, but in the early 2020s, not go. It's just not gonna work. Now, how would I fix the show? Simple. Focus on one. Again, just focus on one show. You don't need to have divided between your resources and the voice. You need to divide the resources. And instead of making the movie, you could have had it have like a 5-episode premiere of Make Your Mark or Call It a New Generation. That would have worked. You could have the budget of 20 million or other hidden costs for the actors or anything would have been towards the perfecting the animation of what you wanted to do. That would have, would have had you more money to work with and a lot more resources to actually people to help you finish the animation and clean it up. Now what else? Oh yeah, the thing, if you're gonna connect to the G4, explain what happened to the other tribes, like the sea ponies, changelings, griffins, hippogriffs, yaks. They never did that. That's one of the things people didn't like from the show. It doesn't answer any questions. Why are the tribes separated? What happened to Twilight? She's an immortal alicorn. What happened to the other princesses? Luna, Celestia, Cadence, Flurry Heart, maybe other alicorns who ascended. They never really answers anything. And when they are about to answer something, it's just not the whole story. That's what's always frustrating. It just never answered anything. And a lot of the plots were filler that they didn't need to. So yeah, I'm not saying this to talk bad about the writers, the animators, the script writers, or the voice actors. I'm not. They did their best. If anything, it's amazing that it has a cult following as it does. And people are saying that they were wrong about G5. They were a little harsh on it. And me personally, until I watched it again last year, I'd give it a second chance. And it wasn't as bad because I didn't watch the series until last year because I just kept hearing negative. It was not good. Don't watch it. A lot. So last year when I started missing G4, I just watched the New Generation out of boredom, and it was better than I thought. Was it perfect? No. One of those things people didn't like were the phones. I get it. But if you're gonna have phones in your story and world, I get it's more advanced, do a story with it. Like have Pip post something she's not supposed to, that there are stuff that's harmful to other ponies. That would have been good lessons to kids nowadays because there's a lot more danger online than it was back in 2020, 2010 when FIM came out. It's a different world. Literally. Also, one more thing people did not like about the New Generation, also G5, me included, was Sparky, the dragon. It felt more like a plot device. He felt more like a plot. Now I get Opaline needed Dragonfire, and Sparky was just, to me, included into others, a little annoying. Honestly, I think a better way would have used him is that if they would explore outside the places of like Maritime Bay, Bridlewood, and Zephyr Heights, like far away, like compared to, if that's supposed to be Equestria, then those 3 places are nothing compared to the actual size. They could have explored more to see, maybe they can find answer to what happened, and they would have come across Sparky, then he would have been more savage, of course, because he was on his own, but I think that would have been a much more easier way than just Zip finding him on a beach as an egg. Yeah. Honestly, I think they could have done more with the characters of actual stories. When it came to Tell Your Tale, it was episodic. I get it. You're gonna have one episode after episode. Misty's character was good. She was taken by Opaline, found her family, her friends. Yeah, her journey was good. It was a good journey. The thing that also another problem I had with Opaline is that she lost to Sunny. The first time she had her friends, but realistically, if Opaline was supposed to be the one who had a conflict with Twilight, either won or lost, and she loses to Sunny, who barely has any understanding of her powers, and not a full Alicorn, yeah, it just doesn't. How did she lose? Like, it doesn't work for her. It looks her less like an actual threat. And honestly, like I said before, I think I said earlier that they could have explained why Cutie Marks were on one side or why Sunny wasn't a full Alicorn as having magic not fully returned yet. It could be partially returned but not completely, and that's why Sunny hasn't fully ascended, or Cutie Marks were on both sides. So yeah, I think that would have been a better explanation for the story. And Opaline just wasn't much of a villain. She was evil, yes, but villain, no. She's more of an antagonist than a villain, which you do not want. If you want to be the big baddie, you need to feel like the big baddie. So yeah, honestly, that's why I believe Generation 5 failed. It was rush animation, divided fandom, budgeting was not good, and honestly, it just needed more time. When you really analyze everything, it was already on the chopping block before it had a chance to really shine. That's what hurts. This could have been great if it was just managed a little bit better. Like, just dividing the resources, 2 shows, dividing the fandom, connecting to G4. They could have just held that back just a little bit, just to see how people liked it, if not. So yeah. So that's why I think Generation 5, or most people believe Generation 5 failed. Again, rush animation, dividing between 2 shows, divided fandom, and storylines that didn't really go anywhere, didn't make sense, or just did not need to be needed. Okay, some of the changes I recommend have fixed it, like 1 or 2 changes. I don't know. That's the hard part. Like, it was already had a very uphill battle. So a few changes might have kept it around longer, but would it have saved it? I don't really think so. Honestly, it's amazing how people nowadays right now are just liking it again, or giving it a second chance, or saying that it was too harsh on it. I think that's really good. I personally, again, I like G5. When I gave it a second chance, it had potential. If I had to really describe it, I think it'll be the generation that just did not reach its potential. And I think that's the real tragedy in all this. It had something to offer. The characters were great. The characters were great. They had full of potential and story, but they just did not explore it enough. So yeah. That's why I think Generation 5 failed. So this is Free Space, and I'm signing off.